Turn it up, turn it up. It's the Pancake and Power Slam. Turn it up, turn it up. It's the Pancake and Power Slam. Turn it up, turn it up. It's the Pancake and Power Slam show. Turn it up, turn it up. It's the Pancake and Power Slam. Turn it up, turn it up. It's the Pancake and Power Slam. Turn it up, turn it up. It's the Pancake and Power Slam show. Turn it up.
Oh, goodness. What is going on here? The technical difficulties are going crazy right now. Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on real quick. I will be right back. Hold on real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, there we go. Wow. All right. That was fun, ladies and gentlemen. That was fun. Now we're good to go. All right. You gotta love when the great technical difficulties start the technical difficulty. I appreciate all of your patience. And of course, we're live. We are here. Greatly appreciate it. All right, come on in, y'all. We are going to... All right, I'm digging the comments already. Let's do it. Go ahead and share the link. Go ahead and share the link while you were at it. Share the link. And there we go. I'm going back to some old school stuff, man. Doing some setups. And yeah, man. Good stuff. Come on in. We're going to talk about Wrestlepalooza getting a C getting a C grade. I'm going to go through the article too. And I'm going to add some psychological input on it. Let me see how it'll look. Live. Okay. I can dig it. Yeah, nice. And trying to do two things at once. Let's see how I look live. And yeah, good stuff. All right, let's do it. All right, how y'all doing? PNP fam? How is life? How are y'all doing? How are we? And what is new? Let's talk about this ESPN article, y'all. All right, people are loading in as I see. So come on in. Yes, indeed. Smash that like button. What's up, everybody that's coming in the room? Let's go. Let's do this. Thank you, everybody. Once again, this is episode 702 of the Pancakes and Power Sam Show. Appreciate all your patience with the technical difficulties. I was switching cameras around. I had a camera that was just sitting around that was a lot sharper quality. I bought a bunch of cameras. I'm not a big fan of explaining myself, but I will say this. Yeah. So I'm glad of the decision that I made to switch. But at the same time, it came with not being as seamless as I wanted it to be. But we're good now. Things looks good. I'm great. I'm happy that I made the switch, and yeah, I'm happy about it. It's just that technology and all that stuff just gets on my nerves, and so thank you for your patience throughout that. But it worked out well, and I'm glad that we're here. All right, let's get into. Without further ado, y'all, we got to get into this article, man. ESPN debuted their inaugural event with their partnership with WWE, which was called Wrestlepalooza, and yeah, so there was a writer, Arda Ocal. His name sounds familiar. Wonder if I did anything with him. I'm not quite sure. But I'm gonna see. But for some odd reason, it was a while ago, and I don't know. I don't remember. For some odd reason, I may have had something. I don't remember. But his name sounds familiar. And he did a piece on ESPN about grading the Wrestlepalooza event. So let's get right into it, man. Let's get right into this thing. All right, let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do this. And let's do that. All right. Let me see if I was this. Let's see. Let's actually do this one. All right, let's see. We usually do that. I usually do that when I'm reading. Okay. I don't know why it's not. I don't know why it's the. This is shortened. I don't know what's going on, but it's all right. It's no problem whatsoever. All right. So more than actually, no, let's do this one. Let's do this. And I don't know why it's only showing a little bit of that, but I don't know why it's not showing the full screen. Um, I don't understand why it's not showing the full screen and taking off everything, but it's no issue whatsoever. All right, more than 11 years since they last met in a match, Brock Lesnar dominated John Cena to kick off the first WWE Premium Live event (PLE). In the main event of WrestlePalooza on Saturday, Gaines Bridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. The Vision tag of Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker defeated Jimmy and Jey Uso in a match refereed by LA Knight. So basically, it's just recapping and Stephanie McCare, etc. All right. So CM Punk and AJ Lee teamed up to defeat Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch in a couples clash, despite being away from the WWE for more than a decade. Lee looked impressive in the match. That saw her use the Black Widow submission multiple times, and announcer tables got destroyed. All right, so more of the takes and more of the results. Okay, this is for the results. All right, so that's all the results, and we're going to get to the actual thoughts on the match. All right. Here we go. The juxtaposition was clear. This was a landmark event, one that had many new or returning fans to professional wrestling would tune in to watch. So, okay, let's start there. That's an interesting point there. New or returning fans to professional wrestling. I think I don't know how much I would even consider new fans to professional wrestling. I don't know if that's true. Because returning, I would say I had a conversation about this not too long ago about this very thing, and it just makes me wonder, like, how much of it is actually returning fans, because I don't think that's how much of it is a new fans, because I don't think that that's really what they were looking for. I don't think that they were looking to bring in new fans, because if they were looking to bring new fans in, they would have I think they would have had the same type of feel as Netflix. And so I'm not quite sure about that. I'm not quite sold on that. And again, that's just an observation as far as just what he said. I think it was a well-written article, but just to assess what we see as far as the new or return fans. Return, yes, because Brock Lesnar's name, and when it comes to the current product of professional wrestling, how many fans are actually in the new category? And it does make me wonder. Let me bring this back up. Let me bring this back up and see if that bingo. There we go. There we go. Okay. I want that to be more lighter, though. I don't know why the light. We'll get to it. I'll get to it. I like the level of shine there. I like I like that, but I want to make sure how that looks real quick. Again, we're live, pal, so I appreciate your patience when we do that. Okay, yeah, I like it. Yep. All right, cool. All right. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure as far as the live the new fans, and so is WWE really trying to bring in new fans? As far as what we've seen, like I said, the Netflix thing It definitely did make it seem like they were bringing in new fans. It definitely did have that type of feel to it. But as far as the ESPN thing, I mean, your main event's Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. Both very known names within, WWE, but when it comes to like star-studded crossover, no, definitely not. John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, being the opener, I can see why I can see why that was the opener, especially how it went. But at the same time, it's like, should I have been the main because it was just a clean finish with Cody beating Drew? So, what really were they wanting with this ESPN partnership as far as like this debut? It definitely had a different look on ESPN than they did the Netflix. The Netflix that debut, it had a much bigger look to it, and so I'm interested when I read the questions as far as the comparison of y'all think, and put this in the comment section too. The comparison that y'all think between Netflix and ESPN was that you think the WWE spent the time to really make ESPN a big event, or was it just like, hey, we got September 20th, we're competing with All In, we're not we're not afraid, or there's no type of fear that Netflix or All In is going to trump us, as far as surpass us as far as viewership, and All In even went to the point of moving over to a slot a few hours before. So I actually think, based on, I didn't watch All In, but I saw a couple of moments. It would have been interesting if they would have brought up, and there's so many things I want to talk about when it comes to this. This would have been a perfect opportunity, just like I said before, to bring in Karrion Kross. It would have been the absolute perfect opportunity to bring in Karrion Kross. It does make me wonder, though. It makes me wonder how come Karrion Kross is not doing big shows, not in TNA, not in AEW, not it just makes me wonder if they're still trying to do this work stuff, and they've done so many worked shoots, or with the Seth Rollins doing the work, with the injury, and it's just, there's so much that they're trying to do with trying to bring reality into wrestling and working the fans. Of course, the R-Truth thing for sure. And it's like, okay, even if the R-Truth thing was indeed a shoot, and I have no reason to believe that it wasn't, we're kind of running out. The well is running dry as far as like the fans getting duped that it's a work. So it does make me wonder, like, because we don't hear "We Want Cross" chants anymore. I've talked about this week after week. We don't hear "We Want Cross" chants anymore, and so it makes me wonder, like, did the WWE just really kind of give up on the project of making this yet another worked shoot? Or because he even said in WWE, he did the interview. There were people who weren't necessarily happy with that. But has the well of work shoots ran dry to the fact that, unfortunately, Karrion Kross was a casualty of it? Or is this another attempt to bring him back as a work? Because AEW dropped the ball big time with not signing Karrion Kross. He's not under a 90-day no compete if his contract expired. He wasn't released. So he wasn't let go. His contract just wasn't renewed. So there's no there's no contractual obligation. He's even talked about that. There's no contractual obligation to to have a non-compete. I would have, even if it was a one-off, man, just to tease the crowd, I would have put a lot of money on Karrion Kross to try to compete with WWE, especially with this head-to-head, especially with this. I mean, September 20th was a really hot moment for wrestling. It was a really hot and buzzing day for pro wrestling. Why not, get to the point where you're throwing a lot of money at Karrion Kross? I mean, why would he decline, a huge offer? And so to me, it's just like, are you getting to the point of just throwing something out there because you know for a fact that the hardcore fans are going to stick with it no matter what? Or have you got to the point where you're like, okay, well, what we have is the best of the best. And so therefore, this is the standard that we're going to have when it comes to having, top of the line, excellent product. So it is a really interesting dynamic when it comes to WWE versus AEW as far as their competition is concerned, or maybe even lack thereof. Seeing the guy absolutely dismantled again by Lesnar to start the show. Yes, he got dismantled. I think it was like 11 years ago, 2014. Cena took almost double-digit F5s and was left motionless in the ring after the match. Eventually, Cena walked up the ramp under his own power while turning his head, which is a good point. You took all those F5s and you basically just you got up, own power, look back, saying goodbye to the Indianapolis crowd. Dude, are you kidding? Come on, WWE. These nuances matter. Why didn't you have him be stretchered out? The dude took almost double-digit F5s by Brock Lesnar, and he still was able to get up on his own volition and walk up the ramp and look back and say bye and just kind of, okay, yep. I took almost 10 F5s tonight, and all right, next order of business. Let's see where we go. It just makes me wonder as far as like the continuity is not even emphasized. Do they even care anymore? Do they even care about making pro wrestling a art form of a comic book come to life? Is that even a concern anymore? Because eating all those F5s and not selling it as far as getting stretchered out, man, are you kidding? I mean, yes, the fans, the IWC wants to see John Cena versus AJ Styles, but John Cena's tweeting, and then AJ says something, and then, of course, there's a match that comes with that, and it's just like, man, talking about WWE playing the IWC like a fiddle. Even if say, for instance, if I bring in a conspiracy theory, so to speak, it's not really a big one, but if I throw in a conspiracy theory that this was planned all along, they wanted to do John Cena versus AJ Styles. They know if they only tweet, the only thing they need to do is tweet. It'll circulate real quick. The fans want it so bad. Boom, there you go. It's official, as Adam Pearce would say. And so it does make me wonder if they did play the IWC like a fiddle and say, we don't need to make sense out of John Cena eating all those F5s, walking out and not getting stretcher and taking time off. Neither do we have to make sense of a no story, no build match between AJ Styles and John Cena. So it's like, okay, yeah, I just got obliterated by Brock Lesnar. Of course, clearly that means nothing because in 3 weeks, I'll be good to go to have a match against AJ Styles after eating all those F5s. If I was AJ Styles, I wouldn't want to compete against John Cena because I would want the best of John Cena. I wouldn't accept a match like that. AJ Styles is a babyface. Now, if he was a heel, I would absolutely accept a match between him and John Cena because I'm a heel and I want a disadvantage. But if I'm a babyface, there's that integrity, level of respect, equal playing field. You're bringing in those dynamics when it comes to a match between AJ Styles and John Cena. Now, it doesn't help the matter if AJ Styles is accepting a match against John Cena and John Cena just ate almost double digits F5s. That's not a babyface thing to do, is to accept a match against John Cena in 3 weeks time, by the way. Like after being dismantled and obliterated by Brock Lesnar. Make it make sense to me, because it doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. More talk about the match, 3 AAs, but it did nothing. Advertised the Beast. Paul Heyman coming out to introduce Lesnar. Yeah. I mean, they try to tie that in. I did see a video that Lesnar said, we got to talk. I did see that, or whatever he said, let's talk, or something to that nature. And so, yeah, I get that. That was their way of making sense out of it. But why is Brock Lesnar aligning with Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman turned on Brock Lesnar in favor of Roman Reigns? What? You're not okay. So we don't need that. So we don't need an explanation of why John Cena ate all those F5s. We don't need an explanation of why we're just throwing in John Cena against AJ Styles. We don't need an explanation of why AJ Styles accepted a match against John Cena 3 weeks after he just ate almost a double-digit F5s. And we don't need an explanation of why Paul Heyman just so happens to decide to realign with Brock Lesnar after turning on him. So in a few years, are we just going to have Paul Heyman introduce Roman Reigns because he turned on him at WrestleMania? Again, this is the reason why I don't get pro wrestling anymore, man. I just don't. I had a conversation with someone recently, as far as just the business is concerned. Someone who I have a relationship with and talk to about the business, and is helpful with me in my endeavors, I will say that. And I was like, man, I'm the business is really passing me by, man. It's just I don't really have the zeal to really be a wrestling fan anymore, because it's just not really making sense. And so I started reaching back out to some contacts and some sources, man. I was like, man, and so I started reporting a couple of things and asking a couple of things. I was like, this stuff gets me somewhat excited about staying in the business. But when it comes to the logic of so much stuff in the world of pro wrestling, I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense at all, man. I think it's passed me. Well, I don't think, I know that it's passed me by. I've said before, man, this is an homage to my great grandma. I'll remain watching wrestling on behalf of her. I make good money, talking about pro wrestling. I've built a great following. I've built great relationships within the business. And so, I'll stay because of that. But I mean, I've been honest with the people I've talked to. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. As far as just why are we not patching up loose ends when it comes to stuff like this? Inquiring minds want to know, who are traditional old school wrestling fans. Inquiring minds want to know. The hardcore audience, the IWC, those aren't inquiring minds. Those are the sheep that you already have as your base rate. That's who you already have. However, what the inquiring minds about what Arda would say, the new or returning fans, they want to know. Okay, this doesn't make sense. Okay, Heyman and Lesnar. Okay, it's been a while since I've watched wrestling. Heyman was with Reigns. So he's with Lesnar again? Okay, how'd that happen? Okay, sure. And so we have to think, I think it's important for the creative process to really think about stuff like that. when it comes to just what pro wrestling is to the non-hardcore IWC mark. It's illogical. It doesn't make sense. And so when I'm looking at it, man, I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? What does it make? What are we trying to do here? But as I said before, I'm not the focal point of pro wrestling booking. Someone like me, someone who's I call myself a bridge fan. I'm not a casual because I only watch Raw. I don't watch SmackDown or AEW. So I'm not a casual fan. I watch Raw every single week. I pay attention to the socials. I get tagged a lot and stuff. So I'm very aware of pro wrestling happenings as far as like buzzing things. I did watch highlights, the highlight video of Wrestlepalooza. So I'm not a hardcore fan by any stretch. And I'm not a casual fan either. I call myself a bridge fan. I'm in between both worlds to understand the pulse of both. But I'm definitely over like I'm center. If left was over here hardcore and right over here was casual, I'm like more toward the middle between casual and neutral in combination of both. And so it makes it difficult for me to just buy into a match that's scheduled, because I was following on the socials when that announcement was done. People was doing crying memes and I prayed for this and it happened and we did it. Our voice was loud enough, and that's when it goes to the social inhibition, like I told you before, or social disinhibition actually, and just that group type of swarm, effect, and it really, the IWC is really big when it comes to that, and it's like soon as they get what they want as far as like making noise, they feel like as a group, we did it because they wanted a match and they got it. You have to think about that for a second, man. This is my show. I'm going to say what I want here in my show. Here's the deal. Think about that for a second. Think how odd that is. Like, we did it. John Cena versus AJ Styles, that completely disregards the whole fiber and the lifeblood and the lifeline of what pro wrestling should be: stories, characters, build-ups, angles, riveting television. And now we've relegated ourselves to, this is what we wanted as the IWC, so therefore you'll get it. And then it's just a one-off, just like Brock Lesnar and John Cena is going to be. Does that really give opportunities for what Arda would say, new and returning fans to lock in? I would say no, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. You've got Rhodes, who defeated Cena for the undisputed WWE Championship SummerSlam this month. Vanquished McIntyre in the show. Explaining a little bit more about what happened there. If Cena passed the torch to Rhodes officially at SummerSlam, then this was the celebration. Wrestlepalooza cemented the American Nightmare as the face that runs the place. Did somebody else use that? Face that runs the place. Didn't AJ Styles use that? At the very least, to the new fans watching. Next up for Rhodes is Rollins. AJ Lee gets the MVP. Good for her. He's putting over. So Arda Ocal spent a lot of time putting over a lot of this stuff, which, he works for, he's writing for ESPN. So he's not going to just bury the show on his article. Even if he felt different, he's not just going to bury it. because I'm sure he wants more opportunities to do this. And this one ended up being very popular. So I'm sure that ESPN wants him to do more of these because of the clicks and the popularity that this does. So, maybe, he'll have more opportunity to even get even further into how he feels, but he felt that this show was average. So he puts AJ Lee over. He puts Valkyria and Sky over, in which I heard a lot of positives. I heard nothing but positives between Valkyria and Io Sky. I watched the highlight video, and from what I saw, it was good. This was a back and forth, technical and high flying match. Valkyria won to claim the vacant Women's World Championship. Could Rhea Ripley be at next at Crown Jewel in Perth on Rhea's home continent of Australia? So here's the thing, and I'm glad that he wrote this too, because this was before Raw, and basically what we got from Raw was, first of all, WWE is not obligated to do this brand supremacy champion versus champion. What in the WWE code is going on here? Like, is there an unwritten book that we don't know about? I have no idea why WWE continues to do these brand supremacy, brand champion versus champion matches. It didn't work at bragging rights. That's the reason why we don't do that no more. It didn't work at Survivor Series. That's the reason why we don't do this anymore. And how is it going to work at Crown Jewel? You're just moving this concept to different PLEs. You're just moving. It was here at this PLE. Not only it didn't work, the whole PLE isn't there anymore. And then you move to the Survivor Series, and then you're like, nah, that's not going to work. War Games. Let's just change the concept because this bragging rights concept just isn't working. Now you're doing a diet bragging rights when it comes to putting the champion versus champion with both the women's and the men's champion. It's just a diet version of bragging rights. It's like, why? Why are you doing that? And to what you would think, similar to what Arda wrote here, you would think that Rhea Ripley versus Stephanie Vaquer would have been the match at Perth, just because it's her home continent. And so, but it just would have made perfect sense if you had Io win the championship. The whole backdrop was, I never beat Io Sky. So why not beat Io Sky in your home turf for the championship? So what? Io Sky had the title for 3 weeks if she would have won it at Wrestlepalooza. So what? A 3-week championship reign. Okay, that's happened several times on the men's side. So that would have made nothing. It would have been a good match. It would have been a story to it. Story, because Rhea Ripley never beat Io Sky. So it would have made perfect sense to have that match. But now, instead, you've got Stephanie Vaquer against whoever the women's champion's going to be. Meanwhile, I think that Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax, and Jade Cargill should have been a match in Perth. But instead, you've got champion versus champion for a daggone ring. And what it seems like you have now is Rhea and Io versus the Kabuki Warriors. So you could have really staged this to be like centered around Rhea Ripley. The first Australia event was, that they did recently. And so why can't you do it now too? Rhea Ripley is, I would say, arguably, but I don't think arguably, one of the top 5 talents in all of professional wrestling right now, as far as just passing the airport test, looking the part, character, charisma, just that just that infectious, type of presence, Rhea Ripley's it. And you're going to have her tag against Io Sky against the Kabuki Warriors. And you could have centered this around her winning the championship. Why not have Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky as the main event of Clash of Crown Jewel in Perth? Have that as the main event. Have Rhea versus Io as the main event and have Rhea win the title. You want to talk about building moments that's going to go into pro wrestling history. You missed it right here because now you're having a tag title match between Rhea and Io against the Kabuki Warriors. And that's not even, that's not even been official yet as of this video, but that's where it seems like they're going because I'm sure they're going to showcase Rhea in some way. More Brock Lesnar stuff. Usos reunited one last time, ended up winning the match. The Vision ended up winning the match. LA Knight was the guest referee. He thinks I think I can see a singles match with Night at Crown Jewel. Nope, that didn't happen because it happened on Raw. For the Vision, we might have to wait until the tag titles are secured by a babyface team before we see Rita and Breaker challenge for them, potentially a non-PLE match. Yeah, I think that's a good assessment because I've said several times for many, many, many weeks, the Vision, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker should have they should have the titles. Without a shadow of doubt, they should have the titles. If there's any team that would be able to elevate the title scene, it would be Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Right now, it's on Finn Balor and JD McDonough, who's assisting Dominic in his feud against Rusev, and they're the tag team champions. That's where we're at with the tag team titles now. You got even if you do like a multi-person match, add in the Viking Raiders, add in the New Day, whatever you do, you could do a gauntlet on Raw. You could do a gauntlet at Crown Jewel for the tag titles and have Bronson and Braun win the titles. But they're just being used with LA Knight now and Jay and all this stuff just without, and they have a headless faction right now because Seth Rollins is being separate from them right now, which I don't understand. Stephanie McMahon being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I'll talk about that on the Patreon. My thoughts on that. Essentially, McAfee was I figured he was, he's an Indiana guy, as far as his Colts, and so doesn't surprise to me that he was in Florida, covering the Miami versus Florida college game day, and then just hours later he goes over to Indianapolis. Talk about a hardworking man. He's talked about before how he's one of the biggest reasons why he stepped away from WWE because he was burnt out. He was talking about flying from here to here and there and getting less hours of sleep. So he's a trooper, man. I really like Pat McAfee, man, as far as just his work ethic and just his charisma. A lot of people hate on McAfee. I always defend him, man, because I like McAfee. I think he's money. Cena Lesnar 7 singles match. He's just going, just kind of talking about the card again. Let's get to the grades before we get to these questions. A lot of interaction here on the show. I appreciate it. So we gave Vaquer and Io a B. Exceptional work. He said the latter stages of the match saw Vaquer focus on working over Sky's knee, giving her an edge. Vaquer can keep Sky down, etc. Usos versus the Vision. He graded a C. he graded that one a C. And, the first half of the match was sluggish. Here's the thing, though, and when it comes to this match didn't mean much. I mean, what and I said this before when it came to the predictions. I said that you already had a match between Jay and Roman against the Vision at SummerSlam just a month ago. Why would I think that the Usos, who are lower in stock value than Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, and I like Jimmy actually. I think that Jimmy. I've said this before. I've even talked about this on PMP, and I've supported Jimmy Uso for a long time. He talk about the shortest end of the stick in this whole bloodline stuff is Jimmy Uso, man. I think that it would have been cool, and I said this before. I think it would have been cool if Jimmy Uso would have went for the U.S. Championship at WrestleMania, and Jimmy would have won the U.S. Jay would have won the World Championship, and they would have celebrated together. I think that would have been really cool, but they keep putting Jimmy in these weird spaces, man. I don't get what the point of. I don't get why they're treating Jimmy Uso like that. That doesn't make sense to me. Nobody thought that the Usos was going to win this match. Gave let me. I don't know why it's doing that. There we go. Yeah, it's doing all the privacy and all that. Okay, here we go. I don't want to. There we go. All right. Gave Punk and Lee a C. He gave the tag match a C. Difficult to pull off from a pure wrestling standpoint. This one was no different. It's more entertaining. More of a recap of the match. And that's that. Gave Cody and Drew a C. So, clearly Vaquer and EO Sky was the best of the match. Surprisingly short main events. Never truly had time to get off first gear. That's his take on that. I think pretty solid take there. I agree with that from what I saw. And this is interesting. This felt more like an main event on SmackDown than a headliner of PLE. And to my point of what I was saying, this is what the WWE is presenting to the, again, as Arda would say, new or returned fans. This is what they're presenting. They don't know. They don't know the story behind this. They don't know the build. If they're new or returned fans, I'm looking at Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. And I'm like, okay, cool. Both look like stud athletes. Rhodes, of course, I'm familiar with Cody Rhodes. Drew McIntyre looks like $1 million. He looks like a formidable foe. But why do I want to care about this? Why? What's the buy-in for me to see this? And I think nowadays, when it comes to pro wrestling, they assume a lot of, and it's not just WWE, it's across the board. A lot of pro wrestling bookers just want the buy-in to be the match. And that is not traditional pro wrestling. The buy-in is the culmination of the story. And if I'm just watching a match for match's sake, and I've said that many times, casual fans don't care about that. C- for Lesnar and Cena. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So this is it. He gave it a C. He said the Vaquer and Sky was excellent. Everything else was either underwhelming, such as the short Rhodes McIntyre match, or set up for a future match, Lesnar dominating Cena. But here's the crazy thing. After this, we saw Cena, who once again ate a bunch of F5s, no-sold the heck out of it. And he goes on Twitter. I guess he's okay enough to go on Twitter and have a match against AJ Styles and tease a match against AJ Styles. Said he doesn't choose his opponents, but it would be great. AJ said okay, and then Triple H made it official. And that's what we get. That's what we get after being demolished by Brock Lesnar. He just looks at the landscape of pro wrestling and says, I just got demolished by Brock Lesnar. I only have a few more dates left, about a handful left. You know what? I'm gonna get you, AJ Styles. I mean, that's where we're at. And that's what happened. That's what happened, man. All right. That is my review of the Wrestlepalooza article. The article by Arda Ocal, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. All right, let's get to these. Let's get to these questions. Hashtag Ask Doc is the way to go. Okay, I didn't know someone was spamming. All right. Lots of lots of comments. Okay, someone stopped spamming though. But all right, good, great dialogue on here, y'all. Fantastic. Someone just spammed though. We don't do that for sure. Definitely don't do that. It wasn't terrible spamming. It was just a comment about. It was just the same comment like 5 times. So it wasn't a inappropriate comment. It was just your take on Triple H. But no spamming. We definitely don't spam, y'all. All right. Hashtag Ask Doc. Hashtag Ask Doc. Let me clean this up a little bit. And before we get to the questions, and as I said before, I'm going to be hopping over the Patreon and answering more questions in depth. So be sure to hop over to Patreon. I might not get to your question, but I'll do my best as answering as many as I can. I usually go through of single questions, and if I have time, I'll go for any other questions. I try not to repeat it because we do that stuff for the Patreon. But if I see really good questions, that's worth addressing. I mean, all the questions are worth addressing, of course. Y'all know that. But when it comes to my time, that's really what the deal is my time. So we shall see what we get here. We'll start off with People's Wrestling Channel. Matt Cardona returned to WWE tonight. There you go. Good stuff. Let's go, James. I know he's a terrible booker, probably the worst of all time. Really, you think he's the worst booker of all? Probably the worst booker of all time. What do y'all think about Triple H's? I mean, since we're grading stuff, let me do my question cam angle. There we go. Since we're grading stuff, what do you think about Triple H's? What would you grade Triple H's time in the booking sphere? What would you give his booking grade wise? What do y'all think? What's your favorite Triple H match? For me, it was him versus Austin in No Way Out 2001. What a classic match that is. My favorite Triple H match was the ladder match between him and The Rock at SummerSlam 98. I think that was a fantastic match. It's kind of shocking ESPN gave Wrestlepalooza a grade of C. To me, like a lot of people has been criticizing the credibility of ESPN. I actually think that this helps ESPN more than it hurts them because it legitimizes their thought process. Because to me, it doesn't seem as biased, as positively biased, because it's easy to say, okay, yeah, it was an A, or it's a B, or it's a B plus, right? I think it actually legitimizes ESPN to say that, hey, just because we're airing, the WWE show doesn't mean we have to agree that it was an A show. it was an average show according to an ESPN, writer. So, and they, I know how publications work. They review it. I've written for Fox Sports and Sports Illustrated and Bleacher Report, and I understand how the editing process goes. They look at it and they say, "Oh, okay, well, there you go, so, approved." And so the editor went through it too successfully. So ESPN as a whole, and this it didn't have any disclaimers on there that the views are expressed and not reflect, ESPN. It didn't have any disclaimers on that too. So they allowed it. They approved it. I think that helps ESPN. I think that legitimizes them as not sounding or not appearing biased. So I'm for that. Danimal said, "What up, Dr. Chris? What's up, Danimal? I truly believe age is just a number. I know it's a thing that wrestlers peak, but if they take care of their bodies, then age is just a number. For HBK, for example, HBK 2002 to 2010. Yeah, I mean, didn't Kane recently, a year or two ago, get some DDP yoga and got ripped? So yeah, for sure. Elvis with the news anchor, Elvis. Unfortunately, negative news comes from Elvis a lot. And this time he has some sad news that his friends Zach Gonzalez passed away last Monday. He was only 32 years old. He lives behind two beautiful little girls. Who's your new favorite NFL team? That's an interesting pivot. Praying for Zach's family and friends. Very sad news. Man, here's my question to you, Elvis. With all the bad news that you experienced in your life, have you considered having a relationship with Jesus? I don't know if you're a believer of Christ or not. I don't know if you've accepted Christ as your personal Lord and Savior. But I would encourage you, man. I would encourage you to commence a relationship with Christ and find peace in Him, because a lot of the news that I get from you is usually passings or hospital visits, man. And so it just seems like a lot of things are going on in your life in a way that's very, very, very discouraging, man. And I'm sorry to hear just this onslaught of news that you delivered to me, and including this one. So as far as my new favorite NFL team, I'm gonna wait on that. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. I have them. This is a probationary year. This is a probation year for my team this year. So just stay tuned. You're a weekly listener. You're a weekly attendee, and so just be patient with me as I transition into this new team. I will say this: I'm glad that I'm not a Titans fan because they got smoked. So we shall see. Roland, what's up? Good interview with the father of Thugonomics. I like that moniker, by the way. Do you think that one day that you would ever interview both the father and doctor of Thugonomics on Unscripted or here on PNP? Maybe. I'm me and Cena Senior we're pretty solid. Like Cena Senior is a solid dude, man. I'm really thankful for the relationship that we've built over the past few years now. You want to talk about someone who is just super available. Like, he makes himself available to people who he respects. And we've developed a pretty solid relationship over the past few years, man. He's just super available, man. He's a solid dude that respects me and what I do. Super encouraging. He's always encouraging to me, and it's great, man. I'm sure that he can pull old Johnny Boy over here. But WWE, man, they have such a stringent process to interview current talent, man. It's darn near impossible unless you're at a media scrum or unless you're doing press, which I've done multiple times. I've interviewed people there. I mean, I've interviewed Rhea Ripley, Jade Cargill, Bailey, Finn Balor, Chad Gable, Otis, Maxine Dupree. I'm sure I'm missing people. Braun Breaker, Oza Presser. Did a press, I was asked Cody Rhodes a question, Big E. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities as far as media once you go through the process of getting your credentials, but just random interviews. Nah, that usually doesn't happen with double E is what's my guy's name? Santino Marella and what was his name? Y'all know his name. Who teamed with Santino Marella? For some reason, his name has escaped me. I love double E. I'm sure y'all remember his name. All right, what else we got? Robert, I haven't watched Raw for 3 weeks since NFL started. Why watch some old Raw? Why watch same old Raw every week? Where I get more entertainment out of Monday Night Football. Yeah. If I wasn't paid to watch wrestling Raw specifically, and college football was on Monday nights, I would watch college football 100%. I think people follow my show. People who follow my shows, you being one of them, knows how much of a college football fan I am. Whenever the national championship is on Mondays, I usually have that as the emphasis, and in WWE playing in the shadows, because that's what I'm more interested in. So, Mato, Doc, do you like how John Cena versus Cena came to be? How should this angle be built up for Crown Jewel? Well, it's no build up. I mean, it's just 3 weeks left, and I mean, do I like how it's been built up? No, it was. We're building stuff up on Twitter now. I mean, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, I've been waiting for this. We won." I mean, it's just like, who are we? I'm not one of those. Totally. This is a good one. Biggest pet peeve. Oh man. Oh. I don't have time to go in this in detail, but I will say this. I think my biggest pet peeve about pro wrestling currently is, I would say, the lack of character building and long-term storytelling and maximizing the talent that you have as far as characters. That's what I would say. Much more to that, but yeah. So you got a lot of good comments. Really, really good comments, y'all. Wonderful, wonderful. Ezekiel's in the building. Chris, Axe Doc. Let's see here. Good. We got some newbies. Yeah, so we get the newbies. We always give the newbies love. Let's give Chris some love. Let's give Nikolai some love. Let's give David some love. Yeah, always give the newbies some love. All right. Lots of comments on here, though, so I appreciate that. Vladimir Kozlov. Thank y'all. Thank you. I love double. That was hilarious. All right. So, yeah, lots of wonderful comments, y'all. Thank you so much for that. Let me see. Let me go back up and see if I can address one more comment. Hashtag AskDoc. Let's see. Lots of comments. That's wonderful. Okay, here we go. Here's go. Ezekiel's got some here. What are some great books, resources to learn storytelling? Instantly came back to wrestling after 20 years in 2022 because of the storytelling, the bloodline, and other wrestlers. What's so funny about that, Ezekiel? There was actually a class I was going to do about the art of storytelling. I was going to do it. I actually had it dated. This was in December of last year. I was going to talk about the art of storytelling, and I had, tons of sources, and yeah, I mean, I think it's time for me to go back to that, but last December. So 9 months ago, I was going to talk about the art of storytelling, but other things came up as far as just topics to talk about. But I will say this: when it comes to the art of storytelling, as far as from a psychological perspective, there's really a lot of resources that just talks about the psychology of building up a story. There's a book that I have. It's called I'm reading it now actually. It's an APA, Conceptual Foundations for the Method. I'm reading it now actually. It's by that's the forward. Let's see here. It is. It's a solid read too. It's a short read too. It talks about narrative analysis. The method of narrative analysis we outline is concerned with the holistic interpretive approach that focuses on form and content. Narrative analysis is an inductive method that contextualizes understandings in relation to the narrative as a whole, to its constituent parts, and to the social location of the participants. So it highlights key features of narrative analysis. And so it's really, that's one of the components that you're looking for when it comes to storytelling, as far as just like location and just the constituents. You look at when it comes to narrative analysis from a psychological standpoint, you look at the whole and you look at its constituents. And so that's one of the biggest things that you have. But I definitely would want to go way more into the art of storytelling. But that's the Cliff Notes version when it comes to storytelling. Good question. All right. On that note, I think that we're going to head on out of here. Head up to the Patreon. Yeah, absolutely. All right, y'all. Good stuff, man. Really good stuff. Always enjoy rocking with y'all and having a great fun time. And not new, just different than my Facebook. What's your Facebook? Have you commented on here before? I don't recall you commenting on before. So thank you much. Appreciate it. All right, y'all. Patreon.com/PancakesPowerStance. We're gonna go over there, and on our Patreon, we all join each other, and we go on the screen, and we have a fantastic time and have a lot of fun. Greatly appreciate it's 1 a.m. here Eastern time, and so the very fact that all these people is still up at 1 a.m. Eastern time commenting on my channel, and still have a really good base of people from my platform, all my platforms right now. I'm grateful, as I am always, man. So, like I always say, I do it for you. So be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Let the listeners know about the Pancakes and Power Slam show. Head over to the Patreon if you may. And hey, if you want to support the show, less than $1 a week for you. And, as a thank you for me putting the time and effort that I have with putting these classes together and getting this material and staying up with you, for you to have, for your listening pleasure at this time of hour. This is the longest day of my work week. It's about 16 and a half hours altogether. Couple short breaks. It's time for me to work out and do dinner with my family, and I'm back at it. I work, I do therapy, and do some college professor stuff, and then I work out, spend time with my family, and I'm back in the dungeon, to do work, and this is part of my day to be sure to give y'all some late night entertainment, lounge style on PMP, Pancakes and Power Slam show. So for 702 episodes, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your week of wrestling. God bless, and always remember, I do it for you. Have a good night, everybody. So long.